That was possibly one of the longest and most painfully boring experiences of my entire life. Ahoy, salty dogs! Welcome back to StarMade on the Star Squadron server. I'm your host, Captain, and generally facilitator of this episode. My name is Lenscap, and welcome to our series here on the Star Squadron server. So I have spent about a week on and off. I haven't had a lot of time to play this week, but I've spent this week mining asteroids. And every chance I got to play on the server this week has been spent doing this. We've had a couple of issues with our server, and I'm having some weird lag and some weird connection problems. So that's partly why the videos were sparse this week. But hopefully we can get something working today. So I need this one final asteroid in our mining run, and then we can start. Hopefully, I want to get started on working on Tortuga today in this episode, which is our new base we're going to start. But before we can get started on the base, we've got to get ourselves there, and it's pretty far. Now, since the Salty Shipyard is our faction home, we don't have any defenses at Tortuga. So kind of what we're going to have to do is take several ships from our fleet there, and I think it's going to be a real pain in the ass because we can't just like use the warp gates and or jump drives or anything. Fleets are too dumb to do that. So we're going to have to manually fly ourselves out there with our ships in tow. So I'm afraid this is going to take a while. I think we'll be able to do it. I think it's just going to take us forever. So what I'm going to do though is finish mining this asteroid, and then once we're ready to get our fleet together and head on out, we'll reconvene at that point. Alright, we've made it home to the Salty Shipyard, so now we can get the fleet together, and hopefully we can begin our long and arduous journey to Tortuga. I'm thinking it's going to be relatively uneventful. I'm hoping it's going to be uneventful. I know that any pirates we encounter will easily be able to outmaneuver or at least outgun. But let's take a look at our spoils. So we're gonna fly down here and take a peek in our cargo container. I went ahead and sorted everything. We did overdo it a little bit, so there's a little bit of extra that wouldn't fit into the cargo container, which I'm fine with. But here's what we got. So we got a fair sampling of each block, almost 200,000 of each, except for the Lucra. I wasn't able to find as much of that as some of the other materials, but I think that's going to be okay. We got everything that we were after, and we can always go mining again if we need to. So let's go ahead and form this fleet. We're just going to form it onto our current fleet. So let's see. We want to add a couple of ships. Let's see if I can remember the important ones to us. The Sad Buccaneer we want to add. We want to add Momentary Reflection. Let's add Ashes. And then what was the name of our other sniper ship? Was that the Minutes to Midnight? Or was the Minutes to Midnight was one of the missile ships, wasn't it? Yeah, so we need... There's Ashes. Let's see, where is the ship I'm looking for? That's the one we're currently in. That's the Southpaw. That's a shuttle. There's the Momentary Reflection. I may have to go looking for it. I may have to go find it. What's that over there? Parts of the Heathen Hammer. Okay, well, let's just take this fleet and idle in formation and see what we get. I think there's one other ship that we're going to want from this. Yeah, the Minutes to Midnight. So we have an extra something here somewhere, I think. No, we don't. Okay, so let's just add the minutes to midnight here on the end. There we go. And that's going to be our fleet. So we're going to take this with us. Oh my gosh. Reflection, you have seen better days. We're going to have to do some repairs on that ship. But look at these cats. They don't know what they're doing. Alright, so let's head out to Tortuga. Now, it is in a secret location, so I'm going to keep the camera rolling in case anything eventful does happen. But I don't expect anything to happen, so I'll probably see you guys in Outlaw space. Haha, yes! Oh my gosh, that was possibly one of the longest and most painfully boring experiences of my entire life. I literally didn't do anything for like 3 hours while my ships just traveled in a straight line from the salty shipyard to here. Nothing was in the way. I didn't even really brush with any stations. I just flew straight until we got here, but finally we've made it to Tortuga, and I'm very pleased with that. So I'm having this weird bug where the thruster plumes they're not persistent. I thought they were supposed to be persistent, but it seems like only if I'm actively accelerating do they actually stay. So that's kind of bizarre. I wonder if it's a lighting thing. I have an I have an AMD graphics card, and a lot of games are built with NVIDIA cards in mind, so the lighting effects in particular don't work quite the same on AMD cards. I'm wondering if that has something to do with it. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But yeah, it's weird. Unless I'm actively accelerating, I don't get the thruster bloom. On the way here, I did alter the thrusters of this ship very slightly. And as soon as I slow down, I'll show you what I did. Nothing really fancy or anything. Okay, but we're stopped. So all I did, let me go all the way back. All I did was I cut out the crystals. If you guys have been following the series, well, if you haven't been following the series, the thrusters were these crystals, whatever the yellow ones are, I don't remember off the top of my head. They were those crystals. So what I did was I cut out a plus sign, so there's a one block gap between the thrusters, and then I put ice in front of the thruster things, just to kind of diffuse as a diffuser. The ice, I guess, isn't really necessary, but it makes the thrusters look, I don't know, I feel like I like it. They used to look the same as the thrusters on this ship. So that's what they did look like previously. And now they look like this. I think it's an improvement, especially if we can get the thruster plumes to work properly. So anyway, now that we're at Tortuga, we want to start our construction project. And I have a neat idea for what we want to do here for the project for today. But before I can really do anything, I need to set up a temporary base of operations, and a place where we can plop down some factories and things like that. So I'm going to set up like a cargo loading area and a handful of factories, and then hopefully we can get something cool built for the rest of the episode. Holy cow, guys, I'm starting to think that this episode just isn't going to happen. Like, we're already 3/4 of the way finished with it. But I keep running into trouble every step of the way. Right now, my game is acting normally, but I've been trying to make this episode for 3 freaking weeks at this point, and I just can't figure out what's wrong. My game crashes every time I go into advanced build mode. It's not consistent, though, is the weird thing. It's working right now, so I'm able to advance build mode just fine right now, but I'll get like spurts where it just doesn't work. it it just crashes. I don't have any idea what's going on. So who knows? But anyway, I'm trying to build this this like basic. Oh, I'm full on this. So I need to do cargo. Where's my? Oh yeah, okay, okay, gotcha. Let's see. How can we make this happen? I need to get. I could drop it. That's what I'll do. I'll drop it here. Use this as my personal cargo, and then pick it back up. Let's see. Where is it now? Yes, brilliant. Haha, Lenscap, you're a genius. I need more storage blocks. Let's just do another 9x9 stack. Why not? Okay, now I can pick up the rest of those Masset ores. Beautiful. Alright, so now I got all the loot I need. We can finally start building on this station. So I had a pretty interesting idea for the way we want to do, and today we're going to work on the reactor core of the station. Finally, we can get into this. So we're going to need some gray hull. And I'm going to start by, so let's start here actually. Let me talk about one other thing. I'm weird about the placement of my station. I want the nav beacon right in the middle. I want it to be in a significant location, so I kind of have to pre-plan this a little bit and build around where the nav beacon is. So I actually had to do a bunch of weird placing blocks and deleting blocks and moving stuff around so I could get my nav beacon where I want it. So I want this nav beacon to be in approximately the center of our station. So we're going to use the build helper, and we're going to make ourselves a circle. And I think we want to do radius of like, I want it to be pretty big, but I don't want it to be necessarily huge. Let's look at 25. Okay, yeah, I think that's about the size I want to do. Yeah, that's pretty good. But I want it on a different axis. So let's, we want it on, let's see. I'm going to have to fiddle with this because I'm not entirely sure how I want this to be. I think we need to rotate this by 90 degrees. Is that right? Nope, close. Okay, anyway, I'm going to build the cylinder, and then what we'll do is kind of, we're going to start from least detailed to most detailed, right? So we're going to start with build your basic shapes, and then cut out parts so that it looks the way you want it, and then add the parts back in later. Got it? Got it. Let's get on with it. Cool. So here we've got a basic shape for the spire of our, this is going to be the reactor core of our base. I haven't quite decided completely what I want to do with this yet. I like the shape. I like the size. I think it's a good size for the core of our base here. It's pretty big. These are each 50 block sections, so you're about 50. There's 100. There's another 100. So 250. 1, 2. Okay, 3. So you're 300 blocks tall, and then probably we'll put some kind of cap on it, maybe another 50 blocks. So that's pretty big. I want to do this neat like gyroscope thing here, but I'm thinking I might make the circle bigger than this. I want it to extend out past this, so I think what I'll do is extend the size of this circle until it is like this big, until the arc hits here and here. I think that would be better. That way it kind of extends out past the size. I don't know if I want to do 2 planes. Like right now I have 2 planes for this circle, so it's kind of boxed in. Or if I just want to do 1 plane. So if you're not familiar with the idea of the gyroscoping power system thing, it's basically you have a stationary ring that is attached to the station, and I'll put a rotator module here with another ring on the inside of that, so it rotates, and then inside of that goes a 3rd ring that rotates in the opposite direction, so you kind of get this weird, this neat undulating, spinning, circular motion. And in the middle of this right here, where our station beacon is, I'm going to put something like a power crystal or some kind of I don't know, energy source, something decorative that'll look really neat, and that's where we'll say the station is drawing all of its energy. I think that'd be a really cool thing. So let's try this. Let's expand this circle a little bit and see what it looks like once we've got that. To put some timing into perspective, we just had the fleet battle between the previous clip and this one. So that's kind of how my week is going. My month is going, I guess, so far. You guys haven't seen me in quite a while before that. I got the rings. I got the rings installed. StarMade doesn't do this very well, but it looks cool when it works. We're going to have to astronaut mode over this way so we can start the rings. It seems like, though, from my testing, it seems like only one ring really works at once, so we may have to completely remove this inner ring. It just kind of freaks out instead of working right, so I'll show you what I'm talking about. You'll see in a second. But yeah, all we should have to do to get this started, assuming this button is still hooked up properly. Yeah, so all we should have to do is hit that button. So that'll get the ring spinning. And there's a slight pause, but it works. I did have them flush with each other so that they all touched perfectly, but the rings had issues with that, so I had to kind of cut out some spots. I'm gonna make them more tubular. Right now they're just kind of like a flat plane with a circle. I just wanted to do that for testing, just to make sure that it would spin. And it does, it spins, but we'll probably make it 2 or 3 blocks around, so it's more like a donut almost, but not quite as thick. But anyway, so if this one is hooked up properly, we should be able to hit this button, and yeah, you can kind of watch as it freaks out instead of spinning the way you would expect. Every now and then you get an actual like rotation where it spins like how you would want it to. But yeah, for the most part, there it goes. There was one. But for the most part, it just kind of does this. Like StarMade doesn't know, I guess, how to calculate the spinning properly. There we go. It should look like that repeatedly, but I don't know if it's like server lag problem or if it's some weird StarMade things. I'm assuming it's just a StarMade thing, that it just doesn't spin properly. I guess maybe StarMade can't handle this. But it was a cool idea. I'd like to keep it if I can, but it just doesn't work right. And I don't know how to make it work right. If you've ever built something like this, let me know in the comments if you were able to make it work right and how you did it. The only other thing I could think to try would be the very edges where the rings still touch blocks. The only thing I could think of would be to make them not touch. That was 2 rotations in a row that worked. Yeah, it's going. Kinda. It's kind of going. No, it's just weird. So, yeah, that's kind of where we stand with this. Anyway, if we back up a little bit and take a look, I like the rings poking out like they are. I definitely like that. I think rings on 4 sides make sense as well. So I can get on board with that idea. I don't think I like the diameters of the cylinders, though. I think this outer one is too big. So I might cut it down. I think it's got a 25 block radius. I think I'm going to cut it down to 20. This one is 15. This one's like 12 or something. This one's like 7. I think that's what they are. But I think I can cut this one down to 20, to a 20 block radius. And yeah, I think I'll like that better. We'll leave the cap 50 for now, but let's try that and see how it looks. These rings, man, I don't know about this. Yeah, I think that looks better. I stopped the outermost ring from spinning just because it was so bizarre. It just didn't spin right. Let's turn off ships in the navigation because I'm tired of seeing the arrows. It just didn't spin right, man. That's so disappointing. Like, I really thought that was going to be a really cool effect, and I still think it'd be a cool effect. I don't know if I should just remove the rings or if I should just let them freak out, or should I just spin the inside one? Maybe I just spin the outside ring? I don't know. If they ever optimize this, I'd like to have both rings. So I think I'll probably just leave it like this. We'll need to put some sort of energy cell crystal thing in the middle. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, I think that's looking better. It's coming along for sure. We've got a lot of work to do still. We've got to detail this out and add like armor plating and stuff. There aren't even any systems in it yet, so we're going to have to do that as well. But that's all the time I've got for today's episode. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate your patience as we kind of work through bugs and issues with game crashes and everything. And hopefully now that everything's working, we can get more videos out more consistently. But once again, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Stay tuned.